300 meters short of the finish line, so nearly done, I collapsed with a sudden heart attack. I mean, I was literally dead on the spot from nowhere. Bam, gone. Luckily,
Hey everyone, today's guest is a business development manager and a health coach. I worked with Mark about late last year on his conference We Love Our Heart, where he shared his story of how he had a heart attack. And today he's going to tell us a little bit about how we can take care of ourselves better. And I hope we enjoy this today's session. So Mark is the CEO of We Love Our Hearts, and he's off in Berlin, Germany. And his mission right now is to raise awareness about the critical issues of heart disease. So without further ado, let's welcome Mark.
Hey, Aninu, well, it's lovely to see you again. First of all, you're looking fantastic, I must be honest.
Thank you.
And it was really quite serendipitous, I think is the word, that we met last, would it be September, October, I think, last year, when we were organizing our live conference in November. And you were a brilliant help with that, and also moving forward. It's been fantastic to work with you, first of all, for that. But I guess what I should do first of all is just introduce myself a little bit, because I have a bit of a kind of a turbulent history of the last 3 years, which maybe many people can resonate with or not. But if we just turn the clock back about 5 years, I live in Berlin, as Aninia said, have a wife and a wonderful daughter, a wonderful wife and a wonderful daughter. And I've always been extremely active in sport, extremely fit actually for my age. In my 50s, I was a triathlete. I used to train an awful lot, cycling, swimming, running, as well as some weight training. I thought I followed what was quite a good diet. I used to drink a little bit, yes, but obviously didn't smoke. And as you can still see, still quite slim and quite fit, and had no worries with overweight or anything like this. And I used to be in the event business, and in fact I used to visit a lot of gala dinners, receptions and so on, and I used to also be known as the real sporty guy in the room. And I was just one of those people that if I was in a room with 150 people, and if you said, okay, who's the next guy here who's going to have a heart attack, I would probably be the last person they point to. Look at him, he's mad, he's so sporty, he's up running this morning, I saw him in the swimming pool this afternoon. That wasn't to be the case. And in fact, I guess that I had the bombshell in August 2018 now, so it's it's 5 years ago. It was 5 years ago, a couple of weeks ago, when I was actually taking part in a competition, a duathlon, running and cycling. As a very hot August evening. I don't remember much about it, but let's just say it was an hour and a half long, approximately, and 300 meters short of the finish line, so nearly done, I collapsed with a sudden heart attack. I mean, I was literally dead on the spot from nowhere. Bam, gone. Luckily, two of my fellow competitors were doctors. They rushed to the scene. They recognized immediately what happened, and they started resuscitation, which by the way lasted for something like 25 minutes before the ambulance arrived. And I knew nothing about this. I woke up 10 days later from a coma, induced coma, with my wife on one side and my sister on the other side, with massive smiles, because they actually didn't even know if I would wake up. There was no guarantee that I would wake up out of this coma, and also what kind of state I'd be in. So moved on since there. Still pretty healthy. We won't go into the other little issues I'd had to deal with, but for me it's always been two questions, although they were both the same word. They were both the why question. Why did it happen to me? I'm a sporty guy, I'm fit, I had no real symptoms, no chest pains or anything like that. I was just gone. 1 minute I was running, the next minute I was lying on the ground. Why did it happen to me? And the second thing is, why did I survive, actually? What is, the doctors in the hospital were all very happy to tell me, oh, Mr. Fels, it's so good to see you walking around. You were actually dead when we last saw you. They actually said you were, medically speaking, you were dead. So it's also sort of begs the question, why did I survive? Why am I still here? I survived by just complete fortune, incredibly good luck that there were two people there who were doctors. If they'd have left me lying there for another 3 or 5 or 10 minutes, I would have never have come back. So why did it happen to me? Why did I survive? So philosophical, practical questions. And then, and then allow me, please, but if after another year or so, taking the medications and sort of coming to terms with having had this heart attack, I then started to do my own Dr. Google due diligence, if you know what I mean, starting to search the internet, what was going on, what was I doing wrong potentially, and if don't mind me mentioning, Ananya, but I came across Ivor Cummins, who has his own show called The Fat Emperor, where he talked a lot at the time about cardiology, to cardiologists from around the world, to other real experts in the field of nutrition, metabolic health, and so on. And he introduced me to a film called The Extra Time Movie, which is still available. And I hope, Ananya, you'll give me a link at some point on this, and I can actually give you a free link to watch this film. And I recommend everybody watching this film because it's about how healthy people can also be at risk of heart attacks. Athletes, it's a group of athletes that they test and realize that a couple of those are also at risk of heart attacks. So I reached out to Ivor. I stalked him in the virtual world, if you liked. I followed him everywhere and kept writing to him. And eventually he spoke to me just like I'm speaking to you today. We did a podcast together. And then I presented him the idea, my story, and the idea of maybe helping others by forming something, We Love Our Heart, to help others learn about prevention and to learn about the potential ticking time bomb we like to talk about of what's going on in their chest. And they don't know, because these are silent killers. A heart attack is a silent killer for many people. But statistically speaking, 35% die from their first heart attack. They might not even know they're about to have one. It's even higher with women, but that's another subject. That's because women often go to hospitals with different pains, and the doctors just prescribe it as something else. Women's trouble, stomach ache. They don't actually realizes that they're going through a heart attack. So 35% of people die of their first heart attack, and many are asymptomatic. That means they have no real signs before they're heading for a heart attack. Just like me, running an event in August, I had no idea. Also, what you have to understand is that I'm not going to get emotional on you, but you know it. Don't forget that evening, my wife had to take that call from the hospital. It wasn't about me. I was out. I was gone. It was painless. I woke up 10 days later. I had no idea where I was or what I was doing, or where I was. But my wife had to take that call from the hospital. Your husband's had a heart attack. We cannot say if he's going to survive the next 24 hours. But imagine that's a pretty hard one to deal with. That is, very traumatic. So I always say it's not about me. It's about the impact you have on your family, on your loved ones, and how you can potentially avoid that. Anyway, back to the story with Ivor. So we started to work together. We agreed to form We Love Our Heart, and we started to spread the word to people who wanted to join, to come with us, and we will explore together how to look for the symptoms that you might have a problem with your heart, the symptoms that you wouldn't necessarily see, symptoms that your doctor is not necessarily picking up, what blood tests to have, what blood results to look for, as well as to look at your blood sugar values, your insulin values, and to maybe look at your diet and lifestyle a little bit to basically reduce the risks. And that's what we've been kind of doing for the last 2 years, as you know. And it's been marvelous to work with all kinds of people. Mostly, I have to be honest, 60% men, mostly over 45, many over 55, 60, but many of whom are relatively fit on the outside, but are wondering what could happen to me? What do I need to look at to avoid what happened to you, Mark? So we've got people who, maybe their doctor said, oh, you've got high cholesterol, you need to take a statin. Or we've got others who have said, oh, they maybe have had a stent fitted, or they've maybe had a heart attack, or bypassed the whole spectrum. Some are just curious. Some have just come to us and said, I've seen you, you were pretty fit. I'm scared that might be me as well. Okay.
Thank you so much for...
That's my little story there.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Do you think you learned a lesson out of all this experience? Yeah.
You see, I'm laughing and then because what can I say? To have a near fatal heart attack is a terrible thing, no question. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But there are many things in my life have changed really for the positive since that heart attack. I've met you first of all. That wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have had the heart attack. I've worked together with you. I've worked together with Ivor. We love our heart has a community of over 3,500 people. We meet every week, 20, 30 of us, and just discuss issues and latest research and things like this. But these are people, many of whom have become lifelong friends, whether that be, Martin in Australia, Chris in London, Tony in London, Jackie in America. These are people that I'm regularly in contact with. I would never have come to contact with these people if I hadn't had that heart attack. And many of my lifestyle changes I would never have had never have experienced as well. And of course, Ivor himself, I really enjoy working with Ivor, and the time we spend together is brilliant and informative and educational. And you have to look at this. Many of the most difficult things in life can completely turn things around and make you, I won't say I look at things completely different, but it's given me a whole different perspective and brought me into contact with people I would never have been in contact with before. I'm sorry, Ananya, but we did that live conference together, and I'm incredibly proud and amazed and blown away. We had, at that live conference back in November last year, we had 12 speakers taking part, some of the smartest brains on the planet. I mean, seriously, I always make a joke that I'm Billy No Mates. I'm sitting here in Berlin with, just doing my thing. But I, together with Ivor, with you even, we built up a network of, some of the smartest people in the world. And that's incredible. And none of that would have happened if I hadn't nearly died. So there we go. What have I learned? A whole load.
So far, mentally, do you have any practices right now? Do you think that you have any routine right now that you're following that you think you could share, that people who are watching could, adopt?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's keep away from the sort of the medical side for the moment about blood tests and cholesterol levels. That's a bit, maybe sometimes a little bit political, and don't need to go there. But yes, for example, 5 years ago, people would, talk to me about meditation, and I'd say, "Oh, you're crazy. I haven't got time to meditate," or anything like that. Whereas these days, I'm much more spiritual than ever I was. And yes, I do have a routine or routines that I can recommend that cost virtually nothing. And they're all as a basis of things that we've learned over the last 2 years. And they're very simple things, actually, very simple things. Well, first of all, I'm a big fan for meditation. I'm a big fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's a kind of a guru in the space. He converted me a little bit. That sounds a bit nasty, but he was the one who I became aware of in the spiritual world, I suppose, as I follow his meditation most mornings, 20 minutes. Another guy to follow is a guy called Eckhart Tolle, who's a German guy, actually. But he also does many talks. You can find him on YouTube, which really is all about living in the now. And I know I'm not doing it now, but really how to slow your life down, slow your words down, just enjoy the moment you are in. And this is a couple of things that I love, and there's a big crossover with Joe Dispenza and Eckhart Tolle, and how it's all about living in the now and projecting yourself into the future. That's pretty cool. We also do I've done a lot of Wim Hof breathing exercises. Also, again, you can download his stuff quite free off YouTube. There's a 10-minute exercise, and it really helps strengthen your breathing and put you in touch with your breathing exercise, and it also brings you right into the now. It's very difficult to think about anything else when you're really locked into these breathing exercises. We won't go into the jumping into ice baths and things like that, although that is a part of it. But that's maybe not necessarily for those who've got a slightly dodgy heart. The other two things I'll mention is, and again, they're more or less free. Water is not water, right? Everybody, this is, oh yeah, he's drinking his from my bottle here. I've got a special, I filter my water at home, and I've got a water energizer at home that revitalizes the water and tries to put some structure back into the water. I'm not saying these are completely free, but all water is not water. You should really think carefully about the water you drink, where it comes from, and what minerals it contains, and also how much energy it contains. Much of the stuff you get from the tap, whether filtered or not, is what we would call quantitatively very pure, but qualitatively very poor. That means your body loves structured water, and if you're interested in that, go online and search for structured water, and you'll start to learn some amazing things about water. Schalfenberg is an Austrian guy. Again, you can find his story online. And it really, water should be as close to nature as possible. And the last thing on Aninya, and that again, these things are almost free. Start grounding. Many people, grounding means get back in touch with nature. Grounding means walking around with bare feet. Grounding means gardening, touching plants and trees and things like this, because, and sounds like this is woo-woo, but there's really a lot of science out there that your body is, the earth is slightly naturally charged, and your body, if it's cut off from the earth through, these things like training shoes, these are insulators, your body's not in touch with the earth, and your body needs this extra electrons. The whole thing, we talk about, one of our doctors talks about all diseases is basically oxidation, oxidized stress. And oxidized stress is basically the lack of electrons in any chemical process in your body. So you need as many extra electrons as you can get, and grounding is one of the best ways to do it. And I tell you, I even sleep on Aninya on a grounding mat, right? So I made it myself, like $25 from a home DIY place. It's just a towel covered in aluminium tape, and it's plugged into the mains, not only the earth in the mains. There's usually 3 things in the mains: live, neutral, and earth. So make sure you block off the live and neutral, or you're literally in for a shock. But if you connect your towel covered in aluminium tape to the earth, and then you can then put it on your bed and you can lie on it. And I swear to you, on Aninya, the last few days it had slipped off my bed and I wasn't sleeping very good. Last night, picked it up again, put it right in the middle of my bed, went to sleep, and I slept through 7 hours without waking up once. And I really believe in this whole kind of this grounding thing, structured water, and these are really simple things that, if you spend $50, you're good to go. But no doctor will tell you that, or very few doctors will recommend that. They're much more interested, no disrespect, I have some excellent medical care here, but they're much more interested in writing prescriptions for you, and they don't have the time for you. So there we go, there's a couple of top tips.
Yeah, it's so funny that the last podcast I had, I think 2 days ago, she talked about grounding. I mean, she said she's in the US, and I think she just got off of COVID, and one of the things that someone recommended was she ground, right? And so she said once she started doing it, she started feeling a whole lot better.
Yeah, there's a guy, Pollock, I think, or Sinatra, Dr. Tom Cohen. These are all big exponents, big fans of grounding, and it's such a simple thing. And I think, and it costs nothing. But you go outside. Maybe it's a bit different where you are. To be honest, I don't know what it's like there. But here, you go outside. You can go in the park, and everybody's just like walking around in their training shoes. No one's actually contacting directly with the nature. So and it's and it's good fun as well. I mean, it's just, nature is what we're supposed to be about. That's what's got lost. And, there are many theories about that's what has caused the rise in chronic diseases such as heart attacks and cancer over the last 20, 30 years is, we just lost the influence of nature in our lives because we're sitting here in offices and walking around with, rubber soles. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So before we close, I'd like to ask you just one question. So, from your experience, what's one advice would you give to, say, busy entrepreneurs, busy professionals who haven't been able to strike a balance between their health and their work needs?
Wow. That's a good one, because I'm also reaching a point where I've also noticed that I'm not having enough time for my own health at the moment, and that's also a worry. So it's very simple, and you take it from me, you really have to prioritize your health. It's not just about you, it's about what you would leave behind if your wife, partner, husband, family had to take that call that you just had a heart attack. Just think about that for a moment, and then then look at your inbox or your calendar. Think about how important are those things really that I'm stressing myself out with, and really just take some time, whether it's meditating, whether it's going for walks in the wood with your shoes off, whether it's just, we talk a lot about most of the chronic diseases are caused by toxicity. Toxicity can be in many forms. Could be from the environment, could be already heavy metals in your body, it could be in a relationship. But you need to spend time on your family, on your loved ones, with your loved ones, because that also brings a lot of positive health benefits. So I would think about what would happen if you suddenly were to disappear, what that might cause, the pain that's going to cause others. You're gone. I think it's actually quite selfish to think, oh, well, I'm fine. You're the one that will be gone. You won't have to deal with the pain that you're leaving behind. So take some time out to consider that. Love the people near you, hug them, kiss them, tell you how much you love them. Yeah, take the time before, we're all here too short a time anyway. Sorry, Anilia, get me emotional now.
Oh, so sorry. Thank you so much, Mark, for taking some time out to be here with us. I'm so grateful.
Pleasure.
And
Pleasure.
thank you.
And of course, I have to say, Anilia, I hope you put it in your links. If anybody's interested in me and my story and the people we use, how to get help, if their doctors maybe told them that they've got a red flag, or your cholesterol's too high, or you need to do this, that, or take this drug, and they're not sure, www.weloveourheart.com, or you're probably going to put the link in there somewhere as well. So always glad to hear from people, and I wish you all the best and all the success with this great venture you're on now. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mark.
And lovely to see you again, above all.